So the good, bad, and the ugly of Northport, Florida. Hey friends, it's Noah, your favorite Northport real estate broker. In this video, we have brought on our special guest, once again, Manny, who is a local lender here at a bank in Sarasota, and he has not yet explored Northport. So we are going to give you first impressions of what Manny thought about Northport when he first visited Northport. Some of the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're not going to hold anything back from you guys because I want to be as upfront and as transparent as possible with you guys in this YouTube channel. So I'm super excited to bring this video to you to talk about the pros and cons of what Manny initially thought when he first came to Northport. You know, driving through it, the homes, the shops, the restaurants, all that good stuff, right? Absolutely. So before we jump in and talk to you about that, remember guys, if you guys have been watching our channel for a while now, you know that we have a dedicated buyer's relocation guide that talks about the schools here, the best things to do, the hotels, and so much more. So definitely go and check that out, 100% free for you guys to download. And if you guys want exclusive access to off-market new construction properties and get connected with builders across Northport, we have a dedicated VIP email list, 100% free for you guys to also join. And it is not going to be anything spam. You guys fill out a form. It's literally going to take you 30 seconds. And then we get in contact and we can start catering to exactly what you are looking for. So with all that being said, Manny, I appreciate you hopping on this video. And I really want to get your take on what were your first impressions on Northport, because you live in Sarasota. Correct. You live very close to the beach. Right. You live close to shopping. You basically live not in downtown Sarasota, but you live on the outskirts of it, right? So you're pretty much already in the heart of the area. Correct. So what are your initial impressions about Northport?
Absolutely. So I've lived in Sarasota for 3 years. I didn't realize that Northport is actually part of Sarasota County up until maybe a year or so living here. Right. When I first came down here, I wanted to see what the hype was all about, because a lot of people were always talking, at the airport, we're like, oh, we're going to Northport, we want to see what it's all about. So it was very intriguing to me that a lot of people from out of state were coming to Northport. And I was like, well, I live in Sarasota, what is going on in Northport? So when I first got here, I was like, what is the hype all about? Because I saw a lot of undeveloped land. Yep. However, it was intriguing because it looked like it was a plug and play scenario. It looked like it was being built up, and it looked like it's going to be booming at some point. It looks like it's ready to start being developed on. So that was intriguing to me. Right. At first it was a little of a turnoff to see undeveloped land, but once you start to understand what's happening, then it's understandable and intriguing for that matter.
So what would you say from a perspective of, let's just say, someone that's coming from the East Coast, or maybe someone that is coming from California, wherever, because that's where a lot of our buyers are from. What do you think their initial impressions would be of Northport right away? Honest impressions?
So some from out of state may not originally see it or get it because it's not what they may be accustomed to, because when you come here, they may have the same reaction I did. It's undeveloped. It seems like it's decades away from being fully built, even though once you live here for a year and see how fast they build and the quality of good construction, it's very intriguing at that point. At initial sight, you may not understand it, but once you do a little more research, it all starts to click in and puzzle together.
And what's crazy is, like, I shared with you, there's that new Northport article that came out talking about how there's over 70 new businesses that just came up in the last 90 days. Correct, right. And the current population is around 89,000, roughly here in Northport, and they're expecting it to go up to over 250,000, which is the full build out in a matter of several years or a few years, Right. So I think that's important to note, is that it's a very fast growing city. Like as we're walking here, like we have a new construction house just behind us, and there are several other ones. Like I could point them out to you right now. It's just crazy is that even in this area, I drive all around Southwest Florida, and there's not as much construction happening elsewhere compared to here in Northport. Absolutely. And I think that's very interesting to note, is that a lot of people are like, oh, well, Northport is still 30 minutes away from the beach. Why would people want to live there? But yet they underestimate the value of affordable land. Correct. Northport's very affordable to live in here. Correct. And then the availability for new construction. So whether you're looking to build a custom house or you're looking to just build, buy a spec house, there's so many different options for people here. Like we build custom homes. And a lot of people love building custom homes, but others are like, I want to move in the next 60 days, but I want a new construction house. So obviously you have to go the spec house route.
Correct.
And I think that's very interesting that a lot of people are able to do that. In, you know, the average price point is only $389,000, and if you wanted the most affordable new construction house, it's about $338,000 right now for a 3-bed, 2-bath.
Right.
And I think that's cool to note, because Sarasota, you can't touch new construction for under $600,000 in all honesty.
Right, correct.
Like you cannot find a single family house under $600K.
Correct.
And you're only 25 minutes away from Sarasota.
Correct.
But yet you don't have any HOAs.
Correct.
You know, you have more land availability, and you're ultimately in one of the hottest markets in Southwest Florida for growth.
Right.
Which means, as you guys know, obviously, I can't say whether or not real estate's going to appreciate, depreciate, whatever that may be, but as of right now, we're on a strong uptrend.
Correct.
You know, you're seeing it from the lending side.
Absolutely.
I'm seeing it from the broker side. And I think that's just another thing to, you know, note about the Northport area, realistically. So with that being said, Manny, what would you say some specific pros are for a person that maybe wants to live in the greater Sarasota area, but they don't want to be in that hustle bustle of Sarasota, and they don't want to spend that $600,000 for a new construction house?
Right, yeah. I mean, I think for the ones that are coming to Florida to retire and try to get away from that hustle and bustle, Sarasota is not fully hustle and bustle, but there's traffic. I mean, it is a city that's growing, and it's got a lot of opportunity. That being said, Northport, being on the outskirts of Sarasota, has just as much growth and maybe even more. So I think for somebody that was really in love with Sarasota and is open to being in Northport, it's a younger community in terms of development. You're going to see newer construction. I just think it's better bang for your buck, and I think if you have a little bit of a vision, within 5 to 10 years, I think you'll see it outshine Sarasota in many aspects.
Right. And like I mentioned to you before, this video is like, I'm looking for an acre of land, 4 lots, 3 lots, whatever that may be.
Correct.
To build a house on for myself personally, and then build a couple other ones to sell.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a lot to be said about that, is that I'm willing to, you know, spend a lot of money and time, because I'm very fond of this area, and I'm very confident what this area holds, that a lot of people just really underestimate, I think.
Right.
To me, honestly, Sarasota is pretty built out if you're looking for new construction, right? So that's the downside of Sarasota, is that it's very built out, you know, it's very expensive.
Right.
So where else do you go? But yet you look at Northport, it's still within Sarasota County. It's in the basically one of the fastest growing cities in the entire state of Florida. Right. And then you look at it a little bit more micro and say it's still in Sarasota County, so it's the fastest growing city in Sarasota. And as you know, is that we work with a lot of foreign people, you know, from South America, and they all know Sarasota County and Sarasota as a household name, just because there are some famous people that live here, for example, right?
Right. And
Northport is that little hidden gem that a lot of people underestimate, because they're like, oh, I heard about Northport back in the 1990s, and I heard about how it was developed and how, you know, the developer was a fraud, for example. And, you know, how we showed you guys different videos of, you know, that abandoned area in Northport, but that was just because the developer was frauding everyone, went bankrupt. But Northport really has turned around. Like, you know, you guys may have seen, is that Northport's doing a road expansion project here that's very expensive, along with Sarasota Memorial Hospital is bringing in a state-of-the-art huge facility just off of Sumter Boulevard. And that's very important to note, is that Sarasota Memorial is not going to be spending millions and millions and millions of dollars to build a hospital where they don't believe that there's going to be enough growth to sustain a hospital.
Exactly.
So with all that being said, what would you say are 1 or 2 of your biggest cons of the Northport area?
Biggest cons? I don't know if there would be full-fledged cons. I mean, if you're looking for a fully developed city, I think Northport is not fully developed.
Right.
So that might be a con to somebody. Me personally, I think I look at that cup half full versus half empty.
Right.
Because that's opportunity.
Right.
I think maybe another con, and again, I think this is subjective. I don't think this is necessarily a con, is you're 20 minutes from the beach versus 5.
Right.
Sarasota is, you know, is minutes from the beach, and Northport's maybe a little further. Other than that, I don't think that might not be a con, but there's more pros than cons here in Northport, so it's hard to specify those.
Yeah.
I'd say those 2 are probably my only 2 that I'd say that would make me kind of hesitate a little bit. But, I don't think they're full-fledged cons.
Right. Okay, that's understandable. So, well, that kind of wraps up our video and talking about, you know, your final thoughts and what your first impressions were of Northport. I appreciate you taking the time to walk us through kind of your insight of what you thought of Northport when you first came to the area, and what you think other people may think about the area. So if you guys are interested to move to the area, if you guys are looking for new construction, definitely join our VIP email list, along with downloading our 100% free buyer's relocation guide. And if you're looking to get financing on land, new construction, building a house, I will put Manny's contact information down below, like I do in all my other videos that he is on. So definitely reach out to him if you are looking to do this, because I would 100% put my name and back my name against with Manny and what he does. So I appreciate you taking the time to make this video with me today.
Thank you for having me.
So with all that being said, I appreciate you guys checking out this video, and we will catch you guys all next week.